Hello, my friends, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Jade, and today we're going to talk about all things intuition. I'm going to explain to you 8 ways that you can connect with your intuition on a deeper level. Enjoy! Have you ever had a hunch about something? Have you ever found yourself saying to yourself or others, "In my heart, I just knew I was supposed to do that," or "I had this gut feeling that that wasn't right," or "I don't know how I knew it, but I just knew that I was supposed to do this instead of that"? That is intuition. It is that deep knowing, that inner voice, that gut feeling that's whispering to you all the time. It's that immediate knowing and understanding which bypasses the logical thinking mind. Now, that's not to say that we shouldn't be using our thinking minds. It's more that the intuition is the first step. Then we can use our mind to make it into a reality. Albert Einstein said that the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. That we have created a society which honors the servant but forgets the gift. And I think that is a really beautiful way to encompass how society now perceives intuition. We are so consumed in the thinking mind that we forget to draw our attention inwards, into our body, into the sensations, the subtle messages that are coming through at all times. Now, lucky for us, intuition is a skill that we can strengthen and grow over time. Now, before we get into those 8 ways, I wanted to share with you all my own personal experience where my intuition was literally screaming at me for years, but instead I decided to focus on what my mind was saying. Now, before I started getting into the work I do now, I worked in the construction industry for 8 years. I know, shock horror. So it got to about year 5 and I started having this feeling that something wasn't right. I didn't feel like I was meant to be doing that work anymore. I had this strong gut feeling that this was not where I was supposed to be, why I had been put on this earth. Now, I ignored it, as you do, because it's a crazy thought to have when especially you have studied for years to get to where you are and worked so hard. When those thoughts creep in of, wow, maybe this isn't what I'm supposed to be doing, that can be quite terrifying and too much to handle. So naturally, I put it at the back of my mind and I just continued about my work and just ignored that little feeling and voice in my head. Now, as the years progressed, it started to get louder and louder and louder. And eventually it started to manifest into physical pains. I started developing back pain, leg pain, my hips started hurting. Now, looking back at it, at the time, I just thought that's what happens as you get older. You start getting body pains and that's just what happens with life. But now, as I have learned over the years, that was literally my intuition yelling at me. It started with that little voice being like, this isn't what you're supposed to be doing. But because I ignored it, those cries got louder and louder and louder. Now, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this on some level, be it being in a job you don't like, maybe a relationship that isn't fulfilling anymore. We tend to ignore those little voices because, let's be honest, they can be too much to cope with at the time because we have built our lives around this thing that if we were to leave, what next? But coming from my personal experience, making that change was the best decision ever. So let's get into the ways that you can start connecting with your intuition on a deep level. The first way is to listen. Simple, right? Well, for a lot of us, that is actually quite difficult. especially with how we have been brought up to constantly be focused on the logical mind, constantly thinking about what's going on up here instead of what's going on inside of us, those feelings that come through. Your intuition is always there, constantly speaking to you. Now, if we're not listening, we're never going to be able to hear it. And this is where the magic of meditation comes in, my friends. Developing a meditation or mindfulness practice. This will help you to get rid of some of the chatter that's going on up here so you can start to tap back into here, into your feeling body, the sensations. And the more we meditate, the more we start to discern between the mind, the ego, and the intuition, our highest self. We start to tap into that little voice instead of running away with those stories that our mind is constantly running on overload. Now, a lot of people think that the purpose of meditation is to stop thinking altogether. It's not. If we stopped thinking, well, we'd be dead. The mind is constantly working. It is our job through meditation to become the witness. It is through becoming the witness that we start to recognize that our thoughts are not us. They do not define us and who we are. They are merely energy passing through. Once we make that recognition that we are not our thoughts, this allows space for your intuition to step in. We start to feel things on a different level. We start to hear those subtle messages that our intuition is whispering to us. So listening is the first step. The next step is to feel. The body is incredibly smart. Just think about the times where you've gotten goosebumps, or the hairs on the back of your neck started prickling, or your heart started racing. Those are all subtle messages that your body is trying to convey to you. Once we start to feel these sensations, the next step is to start to figure out what those messages are actually telling us. As with everything, this takes practice. Get out of your mind and get into your body. Just start small. Just think about those day-to-day decisions that you make. When you make those decisions, start to tap into the sensations the body presents when you make those decisions. Notice what happens on a physical level. Does a knot in the stomach form? Do you start to get a bit sweaty? So really try to get out of your thinking mind and get into what your body is feeling. The next way is to learn to distinguish the difference between fear and intuition. Now, this can be a really tough one and something that a lot of people I've spoken to about it have struggled with. And I know for me personally, I have struggled with this countless times. Now, Marie Forleo has this really quick, effective, and simple way to help distinguish between the two. What she does is she asks herself the following question. Does saying yes to this make me feel expansive or contracted? And then she notices what her body tells her. So this is what it looks like. Whenever you're in a bit of a pickle and you're trying to determine if it's fear or if it's your intuition, just take a moment to quiet down the mind, draw your attention inwards. Close down the eyes. This can be really helpful to help feel what the body is saying. Ask yourself, does saying yes to this make me feel expansive or contracted? And then simply notice. Notice what the body tells you. Do you feel this sense of openness, of wanting to go towards that thing and feeling really excited about it? Or do you feel a tightness in your chest and not in your tummy? This sense of withdrawal. This is a really effective way that we can start to distinguish between the two. So again, this ties back to the previous step of learning to feel, to get out of here and get into here. Now, asking yourself this question shouldn't be about what you should do, what your logical mind says you should do. It's about what you feel you need. So really allow yourself to listen to those messages of the body. The body is so wise, and 100% of the time your intuition is right. So this leads me on to the next way, and that is trust. Trusting your gut and also trusting the universe and divine timing. Now, I'm sure you've all heard of gut feeling. The gut actually has 100 million neurons. Those are the ways in which we transmit information through the body. Fun fact, the gut actually has more than the spinal cord. So that's pretty cool. And again, I'm sure you've heard that the gut is our second brain. So there is a science behind those sayings. When you have those feelings, those gut feelings, that is your second brain stepping in and telling you which way you need to go. So trust it, and trusting that the universe has your back and that everything happens at divine timing. Life might not always work out how we imagined it, but trusting that our intuition gets us to where we need to be. At that point in time, we might not see that this happened for a particular reason, but later down the track, we will start to realize that everything that happens in our lives has brought us to where we are now. Wherever you are right now is perfect. So trust that. Trust that no matter what you decide to do on your intuition, you will get to where you need to be. The next way is to protect your energy. Now, we are all connected on an energetic level, and because of this, we have an influx of energy constantly coming our way. And if you are not mindful of this, it can make it really difficult to discern between what is our energy and what is that of those around us. Now, I'm sure you've all experienced that situation where you've had an interaction with someone and you've left it feeling quite drained. So with this excess energy flowing our ways, it can make it really difficult for us to hear our intuition. Now, there are many ways that we can protect our energy. Personally, every morning I love to visualize a white light bubble surrounding me. So when I do my meditation, I close my eyes and I visualize a white light surrounding me. And this white light is only allowed to absorb love, and it repels all negative and unwanted energy. And I have found that for me, that works miracles. Now, there are other ways you can protect your energy. You can use crystals, you can visually imagine that you're cutting ties after an interaction with someone. You're cutting those energetic ties that might have been developed, which are still draining you. And learning to protect your energy has so many other benefits other than just tapping into your intuition. The next way is to take immediate action. Coming back to my personal story of me waiting 3 years to finally listen to my intuition. We know how that turned out. Not great. So have faith and trust in yourself. Take action on those things straight away. Trust me, your intuition will reward you. It will start to recognize that you are open to receiving these messages, and more will start to flow in. The next way is to learn from past experience. So spend some time thinking back on those instances where you did listen to your intuition and the times when you didn't. What came through for you? How did your body present those messages? What happened when you ignored those messages? Spend some time reflecting back. Our past is our best teacher. And when we start to learn from these experiences, we will gain a better knowledge of understanding what is fear and what is actually our intuition. We will get to feel comfortable with the fact that everything does work out for a reason and learn to have faith and trust in ourselves on a deeper level. And lastly, spending time in nature. There is no better way to clear the external chatter than spending time with Mama Nature. Think about the last time that you walked through a forest or along the beach. How did you feel? I know for me personally, when I am walking through a forest, my mind is instantly quieter. I am more in tune with the sensations coming through my body. I feel this deeper sense of connection. And some of my best ideas have come through while going for a swim in the ocean or walking and hugging a tree. So when you need to make a big decision or when you're struggling to discern between fear and intuition, go for a walk in nature. Connect with Mama Earth. She is there to support you, always. So there you have it, my beautiful friends. Those are the 8 ways that you can connect with your intuition on a deeper level. When you learn to connect and trust your intuition, life will flow so much easier. You will feel more empowered and opportunities will just flood in. The universe only wants to support you, and your intuition is that tether. So allow your wisdom to flow in and watch your magic unfold. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I have more juicy videos coming your way. Until then, enjoy.